Hi, it's Andy, and today I'm bringing you my Q3 stats and a book haul. So for anyone who is unfamiliar with what Q3 means, it is just the third quarter of the year. So Q1 is January, February, March, Q2 is April, May, June, and Q3 is July, August, September. Simple as that. Just the third quarter of the year, the 3 months within that quarter. So I have done these for the past year or so. So if you've been watching this, you will be familiar. If this is the first time you're seeing me, this is what I'm doing. Please excuse the hair today. I really need to get my fringe cut. It's normally a straight fringe. And I really need to get it cut. So it's been poking me in the eye. So I've just brushed it to the side. Just out of my way. Just so it doesn't bother me and I'm not touching my hair the entire time you're watching me. Although watch me still fuss with my hair. I do have a tiny hairbrush here. This came with, this is like a nasty, like, plastic hairbrush that came with my, like with a pair of straighteners or something. I don't even know. It's just like a little plastic brush. But you know what? It stood the test of time. And, it's also like, I don't know why, I just noticed how it looks on the camera. That colour that you see is actually like, it's like a silvery mesh underneath it. I don't know why. Anywho. Yeah, so I'm going to go through my Q3 stats and book haul with you. So as always, I will do my Q3 stats first and then I will follow that up with a book haul. And if you want to skip either, feel free. If I am not talking about stats, I will be holding up books, so that's how you know. I don't know how to chapter things. I don't know if I can chapter things. So, yeah, and I am too dumb to remember while I'm editing to go back and check timestamps. So, as always, I have my computer set up over here, so I've got all my stats. So this is why I'm looking over here to read you out my stats. Now, starting off with books read. So total books read in Q2, so again that's July, August, September, is a grand total of 38 books. That breaks down into 7 in July, 11 in August and 12 in September. And gradually, you can see where I slumped and I'm gradually coming back up again. January was still my best month for reading, so obviously there's something about the start of the year and reading motivation, as it were. That, or I might just, because I'm, off work on holiday, I actually have time to sit and read more and nothing else to do, which is good. Pages wise, that is 11,207 pages in total, which breaks down into 2,847 in July, 4,579 in August, and 3,781 in September. I am so sorry, that swearing is going to annoy somebody. Apologies. I will try and stop. So yeah, 11,000 pages. I mean, currently at this moment, I couldn't tell you if that's good or not. I'm assuming it's good. I'm not even paying attention to, like, page counts. I probably should. I have all these saved. I should go back and look at all the stats together. I might do that at the end of the year. Now, genre-wise, I read 15 romance novels, 10 science fiction and fantasy. I just put them together because I sometimes struggle with what's science fiction and what's fantasy, so I just put them all together. Hello, Hamish. He's decided to come and join us, apparently. So that's 15 romance novels, 10 science fiction and fantasy novels, 2 historical fictions, 1 non-fiction, and 2 horror/thrillers, which, for me, that's surprising. That's surprising. But yeah, when I say horror, I mean, like, I read, I think it's Witchcraft Weird Girls is the horror, and probably The New Scarpetta is the thriller, because they're technically, they're thrillers, like, that's what they're listed as. But normally I don't read thrillers. I'm sorry if you just saw my face change there. Hamish just knocked into my light. And he has knocked it over several times. But in his defence, it is right beside his bed. And my laptop is now taken off. Oh, what a video. What a video. Sorry, we are going to have to continue with the sounds of Hamish trying to decide where he's going to lie down and my laptop deciding it's going to take off. So, again, apologies if that is annoying anybody. Now for representation in the books that I read this month. I will say, I don't think necessarily that the LGBT and disabled rep is correct, because I did go over one afterwards and realised that I hadn't added the rep So it could be more, but this is the minimum that I've read with REP. So LGBTQ plus REP, I read 13 books with LGBTQ plus REP, and 9 books with disability REP. Now for that, for me, again, I say this every time, for that representation, for me to count it, it has to be significant. So it can't just be like a passing character. It needs to be somebody who's significant to the story. And of the books I read, 4 were by authors of colour and 6 were rereads. Now, going into personal, well, they're all personal stats, but I have been trying to reduce my TBR while also getting to a 1,000 book goal in my library, which seems counterintuitive, counterproductive. Doesn't seem like it would mesh together, but I've been doing, I feel, very, very well. So in Q2, we had 32 books on the TBR. We do have an uptick in Q3. My birthday was in August, so I did get a lot of books. So my TBR in Q3 is now 44 books, which is still under the 50. That was my goal. Like 50 was like my goal for like the end of the year, 50 books on my TBR maximum. My stretch goal is 25. You know, we'll see how we go. I've been reading a lot of Kindle books lately because, again, I've not been feeling great because surgery. I don't know if I've mentioned that in this video or not. I had surgery, so I felt like crap, so I've been reading Kindle books. Yeah, anyway, so I had 32 books on my TBR in Q2. Q3, I now have 44 books on my TBR, but that's still under the 50 that I started out with, or started out aiming for. Library-wise, so Q2, we ended on 900, I was going to say 9,000, 983 books, and at the end of Q3, we did it. We did it! Or by the end of Q3, I was at 1,032 books. That tells you how many books I got for my birthday. And I may have done some shopping when I was in New York. I also got ghosties. I don't know if you can see my little ghosties that I got in New York. Just dotted about the place. Is there one on that one? No. Oh, yeah. Hey. Ghosties. Yeah, so yeah, but there was a lot of damage done for my birthday. A lot of books got sent to me from my friends, which obviously I'm very appreciative of. But and it does mean I now have my 1,000 book goal. I've hit my goal. I'm still not like, I always wanted to be like 1,000 books read. So like I won't be happy until 1,000 books read, but I think I'm almost there. Obviously, if I've got 1,032 books and 44 in my TBR, yeah, that makes sense. We are actually, by then, 32 books over the goal of 1,000 books. We were 17 to go, and now we're 32 over. That is a lot of books. A lot of books that I've gotten. Okay, now is the haul portion of the video. So again, I'm just going to go over July, August, September, what I got book-wise, and just show you the books, and you know how a haul goes. Now, personally, I think I did a really good job in July. Not hauling too many books. Most of them were pre-orders. And I hauled a total of 6 books. 6 books is, I think, a good number. Like, I'm not trying to buy every book in existence. I want to get books that I am genuinely looking forward to reading. So first we will start with the paperback copy of The Betrayal of Thomas True by A.J. West. I mean, look at that purple. Look at those foiled edges, foiled characters and foiled details. This book with the purple sprayed edges. This is a special edition from a specific bookshop and I cannot remember which one. It is also signed and dedicated. I do actually have, I think my other one is signed and dedicated. This is the hardback edition, which as you can see is like a royal hardback. It's a little one. So obviously we're pulling the green from the peacock for this one and the orange purple for this one. Does anybody else do that? They replace words by accident. But I feel like this one is also signed and personalised. Yes. This one I got signed and personalised when I met AJ West. And this one was, if you pre-ordered from the specific bookshop, they all came signed and personalised. So I had to get it. I love AJ West as a person. He was so kind and so nice and so lovely when I met him. Honestly, he just was so lovely. So I love to support authors that deserve to be supported. Well, I love to support authors. Like, no, there are definitely authors that don't deserve to be supported. Oh my god, what am I even saying? I think he deserves to be supported. So I actually have 2 copies of his other book as well, Spirit Engineer, which is like a historical thriller horror, paranormal type thing. And this is a historical, I suppose you could call it like a thriller as well, about the Mollies of London. And it is so important because it actually tells a lot of the history about the Mollies. Mollies were gay men, a lot of whom like to dress up as women to kind of let out their feminine side, but not as like they weren't trans, they were just gay men who, their way of like expressing themselves was to dress up as women at these Molly clubs. It makes more sense if you read the book. I cannot describe it as well as AJ West can. Then I got myself this copy of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Because I couldn't help myself. I saw it and I just fell in love with it. It is so pretty. The foiling, it is one of the Penguin classic edition ones. I don't even remember where I got this. That's terrible. I remember seeing it in a shop and I was like, I need you. So this is Little Women, which is about 4 sisters during the Civil War, I believe. And their father's away to war and they're living at home with their mother, and things are quite lean, they're quite poor, but they have all the love in the world for each other, and it's basically just like, it's a classic. It follows these little women, these children as they grow up. Not all children. If you don't know what Little Women is by now, you must be new, because it was a staple when I was growing up, and by new I mean like a young person. I'm really making myself seem old. Little Women, basically, it's like a family serial almost. It feels like it's something that could be written as a serial. I'm making no sense. Little Women is about 4 sisters who live with their mum, and they are very poor and they love each other so much and they're very kind. They've got big hearts, and you just follow them through their lives from quite a young age. Not quite young, like the youngest is quite young, through sort of into marriage and stuff. Marriage and having their own children and going to school and things like that. Next is this gorgeous fairy edition of Human Rights by Juno Dawson. This is the last in the Her Majesty's Royal Coven series, and what a last book it was. HMRC is about these 5 girls who are best friends and also witches. They are part of the same coven, and when they grow up they are indoctrinated, that is not the word I was looking for, inducted into HMRC, or Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is a coven of witches that works alongside the government to protect the government's interests. Or they work with the government, but it's more to protect, originally it was to protect the royals, the Queen's interest. It was started by Anne Boleyn to protect the crown, the crown's interest in magic. Now this follows these 5 girls. It's set in, I don't know if it's set in, I can't remember if it's set in modern day or slightly further back, but it's got like a 90s feel about it. And all the girls are very much like, it's like the Spice Girls meets The Craft meets Practical Magic. And you see these girls as they are entered into the coven, and then you see them years later when they've grown up. One is now the head priestess of the coven. One is a vet who just doesn't really have much to do with magic anymore. One is a nurse who, again, doesn't really use her magic, but because she has healing magic, she does use it a little bit, but she prefers just to do things the mundane way. She's now married, she has kids. We have one who has broken off and created her own BIPOC and queer coven, because these are not the kind of people that are accepted into HMRC. It is very, very white and straight and cishet. And then there is the 5th one, who is the sister of the girl who's the vet. So Neve is the vet and Kiva is her... Is it Kiva? Kira. Oh my god. What's wrong with me? Who is her sister. And she is currently in a coma because she joined with the Warlocks. And the war that the witches had with the Warlocks, and all ended terribly. And she is currently in a coma. And things get interesting from there. Honestly, Juno Dawson, again, lovely, lovely person. Nicest, one of the nicest people I've met, and I love these books so much. I'm so sad they're over, but I'm so glad I don't have to wait for them anymore, if that makes sense. So yeah, if you've not read this yet, you should. I'm gonna have to start getting quicker with this because I have a lot of books to go through. Next is Love is a War Song by Danica Nava. This is a book by an author who is Native American, and she is also the first Native American author to be picked up by a large publishing house. I can't remember if it's just for romance or in general for non-fiction, but either way, that is wild. It is 2025, my friends. 2025. This is her second book. The first one, I cannot remember the title because we all know names and titles do not live in my head. But this follows our main character who is, so it's based, she says in the acknowledgements, my god, that it's based a bit on Hannah Montana, the movie. So our main character is kind of like the Hannah character, or like Taylor Swift, but obviously native. And she is this big, huge star, and a lot of her career hinges on the fact that she is native. But then it is discovered somehow, someone goes looking and it's discovered that she does not actually have citizenship to the nation that she claims to have heritage of. So her mother is a member of the Muskogee Nation, but she has never gotten her paperwork to enroll herself in that nation. And so it kind of blows up in her face a little bit. So her mum decides to send her to live with her estranged grandmother, who I don't think she's ever met, and her mum hasn't spoken to her since she got pregnant, to live there and lay low while everything blows over, while she deals with the legal side of it, or deals with like the blow up side of it, and maybe she can learn a bit more about her people and actually, you know, kind of practice what she preaches. So she ends up going to this horse ranch is the word, and it is run by her grandmother, who has a few helpers, a couple of older guys and one younger guy, this being the younger guy, and it's a ranch, you can imagine what happens, but he picks her up from the airport and he is not impressed. He does not like her, he is just not a fan at all, and so they have this back and forth where they grate on each other quite a lot, and it's hilarious because she is such a princess, and I'm not saying that in like a, I don't mean like a, oh god, she's such a princess, like seriously, she has had everything done for her. She doesn't know how to do her own laundry, she doesn't know how to cook, she doesn't know how to clean, she doesn't know how to do anything, and when she gets to the ranch, her gran is like, you will be helping out with everything, start off with cooking, and she's like, excuse me? Things go a little bit awry with that, but you know, all ends up well in the end. Derek and Hannah's romances just are written so well for me. I think the way that she writes characters, the way that she writes places, it all just meets together so well, and honestly, I would definitely recommend this to everybody. On the 5th of July, I also got my new Lindsay Sands book, Immortal by Morning. This follows Bozzo's son, Crispin, and he is a detective, but he's kind of undercover. So he's one of the rogue hunters. This follows vampires, and the Council of Vampires also have these things called rogue hunters or enforcers. And what they do is they enforce the rules for the vampires, or the immortals as they prefer to be called. And it means like no feeding off people willy-nilly, no harming humans, no harming each other. Like there are rules, there are laws in place, and these enforcers are out there to catch rogues, hence why they're also called rogue hunters. So Crispin is helping out in this area of Canada when they get a suspicious call out to this house that there has been a body found, and he's like, this might be suspicious, let's go and check it out. When they get there, they find April, I'm not entirely sure how we're pronouncing this, and she has been house sitting for her boss, and while she's been house sitting for her boss, there has been construction work going on, and now the construction workers, they did not find the body. No. There is a pit outside, but they did not find the body. No, her boss's dog decided to go digging in the pit and pulled out human bones, and she was like, oh crap. So she phoned the police, and along comes Crispin and his partner. And yeah, pretty much there's somebody who doesn't want those bones to be found. And as it turns out, it's not just the one skeleton underneath the base of the house. So yeah, things get a bit tense, and I love this series. This series is now 30 odd books long. I don't even know at this point. There are so many books. This is all the one series. It all follows a different character, all based on the same vampires. They are scientific vampires with a base of Atlantis. You've heard me, if you've seen my videos where I talk about these books, you'll have seen this explanation 1,000 times, so I'm not going to do it again. Also, this is a romance. I realise I made it sound like a thriller or a mystery. It's very much a romance. They all follow the same formula. They meet the immortal character, like the immortal character and the human character, usually sometimes it's two immortals, meet. The immortal realises they're life mates. The human does not know anything about immortals or life mates, so they have to woo them. Something goes wrong, and they find out about the vampire/immortals. They freak out. They end up in a life perilous condition. They realise that they can't live without each other. They get out of the situation, happily ever after. That is how these books, every single one of these books has the same pattern. This is not something for somebody who's like, I want my fantasy and stuff like that, like romance, blah blah blah, like non-formulaic, I want something new. This is the formulaic of formulaic. All of her books are the same, and it is a comfort read for me. It's my comfort series, and I love them. Her character work is unparalleled. You get a short time with each character. Actually, not even a short time, because they all reappear. Like, there's one character that when I found out he was getting his book, because I'd seen him in so many books as a side character, I cried. I cried because I was so excited for him to get his book. But yeah, it's not a thriller. And then finally, I got Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. If you know when this was meant to be published, you will say, Andy, that is an August publication date. And I know it's an August publication date, but it came early, so it is in my July haul. So this follows our main character, who is wanting to be a journalist, and names Eva. So Eva wants to be a journalist, but currently she's working on this segment called Sausage Talk, where she talks to celebrities while she's eating hot dogs. Yes, that is just as awful as it sounds. And then one day she sees a post or an article or something, a video by a guy that she dated in university, and he is talking about how to be a better guy, be a better man, yada yada yada, and she is like, you were the douchiest of douchebags when we dated, so I think the fuck not. And so she blasts him a line, it goes viral, and suddenly her work are very interested in getting them together on her show, and they end up going on, like, they have to go on like so many dates for her to give him like another chance, because he's like, I totally understand, I was a terrible person, I apologise, I would like to make it better. And she's like, you're funny. But yeah, so they go on these dates, they start to get to know each other better. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This is great because he's like a reformed nice guy, and it shows that you can change. It shows that a lot of behaviours have roots, and that if you go to therapy, that sometimes we can deal with those better than we have been. In my opinion, everybody should go to therapy. Everybody should go to therapy. And this book just exemplifies that. Yeah, Maisie Eddings, I love her writing. I have enjoyed just about everything I have read from her. I think there was one where I was a bit like, meh, but you know, that there was body fluid involved, and I'm not my body fluid loving gal. What a sentence. What a sentence. Okay, on to August. In the month of August, I ended up with 29 books. 29 books. My birthday is in August. August 21st, to be exact. I'm a Leo, as you can see. So yeah, 29 books. I did have some pre-orders in here, so I am going to split it up into like pre-orders, stuff I bought myself, and stuff I got for my birthday. Just so you can see like the bits. So first I'm going to go over the books I bought for myself, starting off with The Society of Unknowable Objects by Gareth Brown. Gareth Brown is the writer of... that is this one. Oh my god, what's the name? The Book of Doors. Gareth Brown wrote The Book of Doors, which I really thoroughly enjoyed, and so I decided to get this, which is his second book, and this follows a society of unknowable objects. So there are these objects, and there's a society. I know, we're doing great, Andy. And they want to protect these objects and protect the world from these objects. So what they do is they will go out hunting for these objects, bring them back, put them into storage, never to be spoken of again. But things start to go wrong when one of these members dies on a mission. And her daughter is then invited into the society. There's only 4 members at all times. Her daughter's invited into the society and realises things are not quite as they seem. And so she starts to investigate what happened to her mother, why her mother died, and what secrets everybody has been hiding from her. We do meet other characters in this on the hunt for unknowable objects, because she still does go out hunting for these objects, and there is so much more going on in this world than it seems. This was so interesting, so good. I loved The Book of Doors. Like, I am not... When it comes to fantasy, I am not a big fantasy reader. I know I've got fantasy sitting behind me, but if you look at the kind of fantasy that I like fantasy that is nice and not nice and easy. That's not even what I mean. Something that is based in our world with a fantastical twist. something that I don't need to spend hours trying to get my brain around. That is the kind of fantasy I like. And a lot of people do not like that kind of fantasy. A lot of people like high fantasy, and I am not there. I can't do that. This is based in our world with a fantastical twist. It is like almost the extreme end of magical realism. So that suits me down to the ground. Same with the Book of Doors, suits me down to the ground, but I understand it's not everybody's favourite. This had so many twists and turns, and I couldn't have guessed what was going to happen from one minute to the other. And again, I met Gareth when I met AJ West. He was doing a talk with AJ West, and I got the Book of Doors there, and he kindly signed and personalised it. He wasn't expecting to do a signing. He was like, oh yeah, this is AJ's thing. And then we were all like, can we buy your book and get it signed? And he was like, oh no, this is AJ's thing. And AJ was like, my guy. Of course you should sign their books. Like, what? This is not all about me. This is a conversation with us. But yeah, they are friends. Gareth is also a Scottish author, so I'm always going to represent and support my Scottish authors. Within reason. If they're assholes, then I won't. But Gareth, again, lovely. His wife, lovely. They are just so nice, so kind, so sweet, so humble. And I cannot wait to see where this story goes next. Next is A Beautiful Evil by B. Fitzgerald. I am loving B. Fitzgerald's books. Her first book is a Hades and Persephone retelling. Her second one is a Sapphic Troy retelling. And this is a retelling of Pandora. And I do believe, again, this is Sapphic, but it's Sapphic with ace representation, I believe. I am so looking forward to this. Like, I saw somebody make a video the other day that's like, I hate it when someone does a haul and they're like, I don't know anything about the story. And I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, it can be annoying when you're just like hauling books for no reason. But at the same time, it's your money, you do you. But I've loved B. Fitzgerald's other Greek retellings so much that I didn't even ask. I didn't even ask about this. All I know is it's a Pandora retelling and it is Sapphic with ace representation. That's all I needed to hear. That is all I needed to hear. The past two books that I've read from this author have been fantastic. I trust in B. Fitzgerald. Next up is an addition to my collection. Hello, this is my collection. And it is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Is this my third copy of this book? No, it is my fourth. I just counted from behind my own head. So I've got this one, which is the 20th anniversary edition. I've got this one, which is the standard paperback, and this one, or actually I think it might be this one. I know they're backwards, but I can't tell how. Which is the Illumicrate edition, Fairlight, pass, which one it is. But this is the Penguin cloth-bound edition. I did not know they were not going to do all of these, because like this one, we're getting all of them. This is like a selection of children's classics, that have been reprinted by Penguin, and it's Percy Jackson, so I just had to get it. I mean, no, I can't get this up. my tattoo is literally the okay, so it's not that one, but the original Trident that they used for Percy Jackson. That is what my tattoo is based on. I do plan on getting a whole Greek god sleeve, but tattoos, they'd be spenny. If you don't know what Percy Jackson is, where have you been? Seriously, there's a TV show and everything. So Percy Jackson is about Greek demigods. So Percy did not ask to be a demigod. Sorry, it's the first line. Like, the first line of the book's like, I didn't want to be a half-blood. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. Yeah, it's the first line. So half-bloods or demigods are children of the gods and a human. Percy himself is the son of a god and a human. His mother is Sally Jackson, and she is just not sure what to do with him. He keeps getting kicked out of schools, he keeps getting in weird scenarios, and she knows why, but she has not told him why. When suddenly he's put in a situation where he needs to run and he needs to get to Camp Half-Blood, which is the summer camp or all year round camp for some of them for demigods to keep them safe. In the process, he gets a sort of very quick fire round of Greek gods and us, and it takes off from there. So we go on adventures with Percy and his friends, we learn more about the Greek gods. There's a whole, like, this whole pantheon is very different to, like, I always say there's like the Greek gods in canon, and then there's the Rick Riordan Greek gods, because this is very much a children's, like, not middle grade, but like, Percy's 12 at the start of this and 16 at the end of the series. So like, it's very much like a young teenager book. So the Greek gods are sanitised quite a lot. But yeah, if you want a really good adventure, if you want something for younger kids, if you want something that rivals that series, that is wholesome and the author is a good person, Percy Jackson. Next is the last book in the Tones and Teas series, and that is Alchemy and a Cup of Tea. That's the series here. I love the edges on this, and I am so sad that this is over. So this follows two main characters, Chianthe and Rhaenyra. I don't know why their names stick in my head and everybody else's doesn't, but Chianthe is the Mage of Ages. She is the top, sort of, not ranking necessarily, but like, she's the chosen one of the Stone of Seeing, which makes her like the head of all the mages, even though they don't really like her, and she doesn't really like them. And she is a smartass and just spouts puns constantly. And she meets Rhaenyra, who is one of the Queen's Guard. And now the Queen's Guard are just meant to stand there and defend, like, look after the Queen. But when a situation happens where Rhaenyra is put into a place where she realises the Queen really doesn't care about her Queen's Guard, she decides to run away with Chianthe. Now, this is not a new thing. Chianthe has asked her every time she's seen her to run away with her and open a book and tea store, and every time Rhaenyra has said, no, I can't, I need to be loyal to the Queen, and this one sort of tips the scales, and they run away together, and they open up a tea and bookstore in this little town right on the edge of the Queen's, I don't know if it's in the Queendom or not, right on the edge of like the two of these lands. So there's Dragonland on one side, and then I think, I can't remember what's on the other side, which is terrible. So they go to this place, they open this shop, and they start to make friends with the villagers, and there are like, people say this is like Legends of Lattes, and I get what they mean. It's very much like building the tea shop, doing all the construction work, picking out the stuff, but there are higher stakes going on in this, especially with the dragons, which we get to know more about as we go through the series. Sorry, I'm touching my hair again. I'm touching my hair. But this mainly, like, it's funny because it's one of those books where the stakes are really high, but you know everything's going to be okay. It is such a comforting read, and the characters are so funny. Like, Chianthe is just, she is the dad joke extraordinaire. She is punny to a fault, and it drives everybody nuts. This is such an amazing series. It is so queer, and the second book is actually dedicated to the people who gave the first book a 1 star because it had lesbians, and then she doubled the lesbians. It was amazing. But yeah, I love these books so much. Next is The Legacy of Arneson House by T.L. Hutchu. This is the 4th book in the series, the Edinburgh Nights series, the first one being The Library of the Dead. This follows our main character, again his name I've forgotten, I had it and it just slipped in my head, Ropa. And Ropa is both Zimbabwean and Scottish descent, and she lives in Scotland and uses her magic as a ghost talker to talk to ghosts. And what she does is she offers to pass on messages to their family after they've died for a cost, because a girl's got to eat. She lives with her gran and her little sister in a caravan in a slum, because this is a dystopian future where it's one of those dystopians where it's like we're back to like horse and carriages, magic is very prevalent, people don't really have cars because there's not really any petrol or diesel, and a lot of the places are like slums now, or it's like very rich versus very poor. It's set in Edinburgh, as the title suggests, and Ropa is then pulled into the world of the magicians of Edinburgh, and she is pulled into the Library of the Dead, and into a situation where she never really expected herself to be. Ropa is a smart talking piece of work. I love Ropa. I think she's great. I think she's wonderful. She reminds me so much of someone, but I can never remember who it is. And yeah, this is book 4. As you can imagine, the stakes have gotten higher in each book, and this is one of my favourite series just ever. I think this is great, and I'm so excited but so upset that the last book is coming soon. Next is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Mayer? Yep, that's exactly what it is. So this is about Evie. who is basically down on her luck. She's just lost her job. She's supporting her dad and her sister. And then she somehow accidentally becomes the assistant to the villain. The villain is like the evil guy in the area. But really, he's not that bad. He's kind of morally grey in the sense that, like, yes, he will hang some people from his rafters, but they're normally bad people, you know? So this is really, like, pretty much like, I suppose it comes under cozy fantasy. It's like oldie time type, live in the forest, live in like houses people built themselves. There's a king, like people riding horseback sort of like time, but like there is some magic, but it's not as prevalent yet. I am this far into the book. I'm currently reading this book, and I'm really enjoying it. It's so funny. Like, so far, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm giggling. I'm kicking my feet. I have no idea where this is going to go. I just know that this is about Evie being the assistant to the villain and trying not to fall for him. Next is First Time Caller by Becca Borson. I caved and I bought it because look at it. It's so pink and it's so cute. Becca Borson wrote the Love Like Farms series, is that what it's called? And I really enjoyed that. So I decided to get this because people keep gushing about it. Actually, the same person that was gushing about this that made me get it, also gushing about this and made me get it. So yeah, this is a Sleepless in Seattle retelling, as far as I'm aware. I have not seen Sleepless in Seattle, so that means nothing to me. But basically, our main character, whose name I don't know, Aiden, runs a show, and it is about connecting people romantically on the radio. And Lucy's daughter calls on the radio and wants him to find someone for her mum. People find this so endearing when she, like, because Lucy grabs the phone of her and she's like, oh my god, what's she doing? And people find this so endearing that they end up doing the show together to try and find her someone. And I'm assuming they end up together because it's romance. And then of course I had to get myself the new box set of the Gold Rush Ranch series because it is stunning. Like, I think the editions I already have are stunning, but they're like really bright coloured, like jewel tone colours, which I love. Jewel tones are my favourite. But then they released like a pastel version with like new art and stuff, and I have no self-control. So the first one is Off to the Races, and I believe this has the novella in it as well. Yeah, Out of the Gate. So this has both Off to the Races and Out of the Gate, which is the prequel novella in this book, and then this is a photo finish, which is the one I need to read next. I've read them all, I just need to reread it because I read the first one and the novella again. Anyway, and then we have the front runner, and then we have A False Start. So these are the first books that Elsie Silver wrote. So the Chestnut Spring series is probably the one that everybody knows really well. Now this is set before this, so the second book, A Photo Finish, is actually the story of Violet, who's the sister of the brothers in the Eaton brothers in the Chestnut Springs series. Oh my god, I've got word salad right now. So each of these follows one of the girls that we meet, who become like the friends. So the first one follows Billy, who's hired by Vaughn at Gold Rush Ranch to be the new horse trainer. Vaughn, though, with her name being Billy, thinks that she's a man, and things do not go well when they meet. They do not, and this ends up as an enemies to lovers, because Billy is determined to show him that she has got what it takes, and obviously he's still mad at him for the whole like thinking she was a man thing, because he was really rude about it. And Vaughn is trying to save his family ranch and get himself out from under a scandal that his grandfather has brought down on him before he died. And now Vaughn is having to pick up the pieces. The second one, A Photo Finish, follows Vaughn's brother, whose name I cannot remember. Yep, it doesn't say. So his brother, Vaughn's brother, is a veteran. He fought in, I can't remember where, probably Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan, based on the timeline of this. And he has retired, been discharged, and is working at the family business, but from the city. And he has met Violet Eaton, but only through a screen when she was a cam girl. And then suddenly she is working at his family's ranch, and they meet again, and suddenly he realises who she is, and she realises who he is. And they, again, kind of have this sort of situation where they're not quite sure of one another, they don't want each other to tell the other's secrets, and they form a kind of like reluctant friendship. He is also hiding the extent of his injuries that he received while he was at war from his family, not dealing very well with PTSD. I love me, it's really, really bad, but I love me a character with some like PTSD, mental instability, like from like an injury or something, like the hockey romances where like the hockey guy has been injured and is trying to come back but he's like scared of the ice and stuff like that. Like I like those stories of them, like not of them getting injured, of them like getting better. I don't know, it just adds depth. Book 3 follows our vet Maya. Maya is the vet that's called out to the horses in the first 2 books, and we get to know her. She reluctantly becomes friends with Billy and Violet. She doesn't really have a choice. Billy is one of those characters. She reminds me so much of Willa from the Chestnut Springs series. I honestly cannot decide if they would hate each other or love each other because they are so similar, but they're very different. Like, you can tell they're different characters. She's not just used the same character archetype over again, but they're very similar. And they're very loud. So Maya is the vet, and she is called out during foaling season to Gold Rush Ranch, where one of the mares, I believe, dies in during birth, and so the foal is left with less than 24 hours to find another mare, for them to find a mare to nurse this baby, otherwise they're going to lose it. And so she ends up speaking to DeLuca, who... Is it DeLuca? Yeah, Stefan DeLuca. Dalka. DeLuca's from Grey's Anatomy, Andy. Stefan Dalka is like the enemy of Gold Rush Ranch. He runs another ranch, and he has just had a mare lose a foal, so she's still like lactating. It was stillborn. She still went through the birthing process and is expecting to see a foal. So they strike up a deal where the foal comes to his ranch, and his mare, they will introduce to his mare and hopefully raise it. So Maya spends a lot of time at the ranch. She looks after the horses anyway. She's a vet, but also making sure this foal and mare pairing are sorted out. And through that she realises that Stefan isn't the horrible person that a lot of people think he is. And it really is this, like, I love these stories where it's someone who you see from the lens of other characters in a different book and you think, oh god, what an asshole. But then when you see it from his side, you're like, actually, maybe I'm the asshole. So yeah, that's those two. And then A False Start follows Stefan's sister, and his best friend. It's a brother's best friend. There is an age gap. She is an adult, but there is an age gap. And she ends up at his ranch for some reason. I can't remember why. Yeah, I don't remember why. But she ends up staying at his house in the mountains. I think she gets stuck there. I can't remember. I'm rereading these, like I said. It's been years since like 2020 or something when I read these. And they spend a lot of time together and start to fall for... I mean, he obviously falls for her immediately and she likes him, but he's like, no, your brother is my best friend. To me, I think maybe this is maybe the weakest. I don't know. I can't decide, but these two are definitely my favourites. But yeah. All in all, love the Gold Rush Ranch series. I love everything that Elsie's ever writes, so win. And then also, of course, I got Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. You pick how you want to say it. She doesn't care. This beautiful edition, I couldn't not. I loved Babel by R.F. Kuang, and I believe this is very Babel-esque. This is another Greek challenge. So our main character is at university, and this professor who's meant to give her a letter of recommendation dies and ends up in hell, or Hades, really. And so her and her academic rival, who also wants a letter of recommendation from their professor, they decide to go to hell and bring them back. So this is like, I cannot remember the Greek story that's based on, but like the one where they literally they go to hell and bring back the person. I'm assuming it's the one where they can't look back. I can't remember what. I get Greek names mixed up. I want to say Oedipus, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But yeah, these are academic rivals, so they do not like each other. They are both hoping that to like one up the other on their way. But obviously, I'm assuming they will end up falling in love, because it feels like that sort of thing. It is magical, it is obviously Greek retelling, and I love R. Kwang, so I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, and the last 3 books I bought for myself, I got from a queer bookshop in York. I can't remember the name of the bookshop. If I can get somebody to remember it, I'll put it up there. But it's Off the Shambles, and it was honestly such a great little shop. I absolutely loved it, and I couldn't not buy something while I was there. So the first thing is A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. This is a male romance fantasy about a prince, and I want to say his bodyguard. Again, I'm not entirely sure what happens in this book. My hair's annoying me. It was the recommendation of the bookseller, so I decided to pick it up. I said that I am not great with high fantasy. I really like, obviously, like Red, White and Royal Blue, things like that, like male romance. I really enjoy, although everything there was queer. It was literally a queer bookshop. Yeah, but it is a male romance, fantasy romance that was recommended to me by the bookseller. I bought this on blind faith. I told them what books I liked. They told me to read this book, so I'm going on blind faith here. I also got the first volume of the Murderbot Diaries from that shop, which is Also Some Dread and Artificial Condition. So books 1 and novellas 1 and 2 in the series. Yeah, everybody keeps telling me I need to try Murderbot. And so when I saw this bind-up edition, because the cost of those novellas on their own, that's just mania. It's mental. Absolutely mental. So this together was a lot cheaper than getting 2 individual books. So I decided to collect these editions. And yeah, I of course loved it. Murderbot is a robot who has hacked his government module. So he is kind of a construct, I think is what they call them. So he has mostly robot body and stuff, but he also has human skin and some human neural tissue, and he also has blood mixed in with his general lubricant. That is another wild sentence to say, Andy. And his governor module, I can never say it, governor module is there to basically control and make sure they behave, so they can't get too far away from their clients, they can't try and harm their clients, they can't disobey orders, or the governor module will fry them. But Murderbot hacks its module, and so it can do whatever it wants. But what it wants to do is watch TV shows, especially The Rise and Fall of Sanctuary Moon. And it continues to work and mostly just sits and watches, or stands and watches Sanctuary Moon while nobody's paying attention to it. But in this, at the start of this, it ends up on a trip with a bunch of scientists from like a hippy-dippy planet called the Preservation Alliance. And they are outside of the corporate rim. Corporate is the word I couldn't remember in my wrap-up. They are outside the corporate rim. So the corporate rim kind of owns most people, most planets, and they have a lot of labor that's not so moral, shall we say. So people are like, they have to like work for so long before they can get out of their like deals, and some of it is generational. It's very akin to slavery, but not at the same time. I can't remember exactly how it's described, because I can't remember the term. It's like when Scots were rounded up and sent to America for the Jacobite uprising, and they were basically imprisoned by being given to families in America to use as servants, and they were nowhere near treated as badly as slaves, but they were definitely treated worse than like your regular servants. They weren't allowed to leave the premises, they weren't paid, like they had a certain time that they had to stay there. So it's kind of like that for this, except they're put into a situation where they're never able to get out of the system. So that's where it's kind of like slavery. Preservation Alliance sees it as slavery. Preservation Alliance sees what Murderbot does also as slavery. Again, we're not looking at chattel slavery. That is a totally different beast. But in regards to this world. So Preservation Alliance are working on this planet, and they have to hire a sec unit. Murderbot is the one they get. And eventually, because of things that are going on this planet, they realise that Murderbot does not have a working governor module, and it has to decide, is it going to kill them or is it going to let them live, and will they help it? And I love this. It's so good. I'm so excited for the next book because I finished the entire series and the TV show. I'm basically Murderbot, but human. That's what people kept telling me. Me and Murderbot, same person. And yeah, unfortunately we are. Or fortunately, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So the last book I bought myself, in the month of August, was Long Live Evil by AZebraReads Brennan. This book has been staring at me for so long, but I didn't want to get the hardback, even though it was pink. So I ended up getting the paperback from Watchstones while I was in York, just because it was just time. It's very similar to Assistant to the Villain. Not really. It's like the Morley Grey character. So our main character, whose name I don't know, Ray. So Ray ends up, I believe Ray is disabled. I can't remember, but in my head I've got it that she is disabled. And when she dies, she ends up in something happens that pulls her into her favourite fantasy story. But then she realises very quickly that she's been put into the story as the villain, not as one of the heroes or just like the random person down the street. And so she is determined to make the story go as it's meant to go while she is the villain. So she's trying to like manipulate things from behind the curtain to make the story go the way she knows the story is meant to go, all while also being the villain. And that just sounds amazing. Genuinely, mostly picked it up because I was sure the main character is disabled, but it doesn't say anything about that on the back. I could be mixing this up with something else, but we'll find out when I read it. So next is One Medicine by Dr. Matt Morgan. I want to pull this out separately because this is not like, it wasn't a birthday gift or anything, but I often get a lot of Vicky's unhauls because Vicky doesn't keep a lot of books. Well, Vicky doesn't keep a lot of books post-reading. The TBR is a different story, we won't talk about that. And so Vicky was reading this in the car on the way down to and back from Nottingham and York, and while they were reading it, they were like, you need to read this, you will love this. So this is now mine for me to read, so it wasn't gifted, but she did give it to me. That makes sense. But this talks about how studying animals can help us with medicine, and yeah, that's basically the non-fiction. Now we're getting into the birthday books where all the damage came from this month. All the damage. I'm going to try and remember and check the notes of who gave me this. So first from Smash was Plucking Around by Emily Rath. I also got Plucking Wild by Emily Rath, and this was from Sugar. Also from Smash. Smash was very kind to me. I do also already have these in the indie published versions, but these are now the trad published UK versions. I got Plucking Ever After Volume 1 and 2, I believe, from Lisa. Yes, both from Lisa. And that was what I needed to complete my Emily Rath collection. I still don't have That One Night, but I don't think I want That One Night. Like, I don't need it. But Plucking Around is book 1, Plucking Wild is book 2. These two are short story collections throughout. I already had the other ones because Puck Sweet was the first one that was published in these editions, so we were just waiting on these being released, basically. If you've never heard me talk about these, this is a series of hockey romances. So Plucking Around is a polyamorous hockey romance with Rachel, who is the team doctor. She has this one night, which is kind of what the thing is called, with Jake. They don't give each other names, they don't tell each other anything about each other, but they have this one night in Seattle where they really connect, and then the next day she is gone, but then she turns up as the team's doctor. But as you can see, and as I said, it's polyamorous, and it's proper polyamorous, not why choose, it's polyamorous. Things don't go the way they all think it's going to go. Book 2, Plucking Wild, follows Tess, who is the best friend of Rachel and one of the players. This is not a poly romance, but it is a queer romance, and it deals with domestic violence and abuse, and I love Ryan so much. Like I said, these are short story collections from parts of the book that didn't make it into the book, or stories that people have asked specifically to be fleshed out a bit. Scenes that we know happen behind, like, off page, now on page. Love it. Then I got Scotch on the Rocks from Becca. This is book 2 in the McCabe Brothers series. Book 1 is Whiskey Business by Elliot Fletcher. And this follows the oldest McCabe brother and his brother's ex-fiancée. Yep. It's a whole thing. Rude. So her dad has died and her mum has gone on a vacation for the first time since he died, to go on a cruise and kind of like relax because she owns this hotel and it's really stressing her out. And so she decides while her mum's away that she is going to renovate the place. So Juniper, the female main character, she decides she's going to renovate the hotel, and who steps up to help her other than Callum McCabe, who she hates. She hates all of the McCabes, apart from the sister, just on principle because she was engaged to his little brother, and things did not end well. But these two have a connection, and she tries to fight against it. Obviously you can tell that goes well. Oh, this is also by a Scottish author, and it's set on Sky. Also from Becca, I got Mistleful, which is a mead mishaps novella. God, I can't speak today. So this is by Kimberly Lemming. As you can see, this is a very short novella. But oh my god, is it amazing. Genuinely, I love this. So this is about our female main character, again name's me. And her dad has got himself in trouble with a demon. And so she goes to sort of talk to the demon and say, look, please stop cursing us. I apologise for my dad's behaviour. Have this basket as like a peace offering. Can we work together? And he's the demon. I think he's an Arctic fox demon, I want to say. I think he's an Arctic, like he turns into an Arctic fox. And when she sort of goes to him and is like, can we sort of sit and you stop like cursing us? He's like, do you know what? If you come to this ball with me, I will forgive your debt. And she's like, no. And he's like, but you will though. And she's like, yeah, fine, okay. So they go to this ball and it's absolute chaos. Again, it's very, very short. It's very, very, very short. It's like 87 pages. And it is smutty and it is fun and it is cute. And then Tori got me A Beast of a Little Land. I forgot I had this on my wish list. I'm not even gonna lie. This is by Ji-hye Kim. And I saw someone talking about this and I can't remember what it was about it that made me want to read it. This is about the Korean independence movement. So Korea is currently in 1917 under Japanese rule. And our main character ends up at this school. But she ends up making a friend, and the friend gets pulled into the war somehow, and so she needs to decide how to, like, what she's going to do. Is she going to try and help her friend, or is she going to try and get her dreams and wishes? I know that sounds, that I just really badly summed up. Badly summed up this book. But it is historical fiction post-World War I Korea. So it's 1917 onwards in Korea, independence. I love learning about new places and their history, and especially things like their independence movements, their things that happened during the World Wars and stuff like that. This is not set during the World War, I just mean as an example for things that I like reading in books, like what's the Jing Jing Lee book called? How We Disappeared. It's about comfort women in Japan, or Japanese comfort women during World War II. Bit of history that you don't usually get taught about. Again, Korean independence, never heard about it. Don't know anything about it. So I love to take it in through stories. Also for my birthday, I got Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogle. I still do not know who sent me this because there was no note. I have not found a single note. Nobody has contacted me to say they got it for me. I've put it into group chats. I've asked online. I don't actually think I've published that video yet. Anyway, yeah, whoever got me this, thank you very much. I don't know who it was, but this is a Sarah Hogle book. I can't remember, I honestly put this on my thing so long ago. But it's gotten to the point where, again, Sarah Hogle is just an auto-buy author. So, unfortunately, I can't tell you much about this, but I think it's a magical realism. And the last books that I got for my birthday is the entirety of the Suki Stackhouse series, the True Blood series, the Southern Vampire Mysteries, however you know it by. Yes, there's a book missing. I'm currently reading the series and I'm in, like, here. This is the book that's missing. So I got this from my friends because it is a fairly expensive box set. So they all chipped in to get it for me. And yeah, this is why I added so many books. I have read it all, at least it didn't go into my TBR. But this is why I added so many books to my library. Because there's a lot of books. There's a lot of books and it is rainbow. And yes, You may have seen these previously in my bookshelf in other videos where you can see they're actually down here. You can't see them, but they're like down here. But the editions I have are secondhand or they're not even second, they're not supposed to be secondhand. I did order them from Amazon and they came, and because I didn't open it for ages and didn't take them out to check them, one of them has a coffee cup, say like somebody's spilt their coffee and then put the cup on top of it, so it's got like a coffee ring on it. Pages have been written on, and somebody obviously sent it back to Amazon and they've just slapped some cellophane on it and sold it to me. So yeah, they're in bad condition, they are foxed, and I don't want them to pass any potential foxing onto my other books, so my friends very kindly got me the new box set, which is in perfect condition. If I said that was the last thing I got for my birthday, I just lied to you, because I missed a whole pile that was over here. I missed a whole pile. So I have Just Our Luck by Denise Williams. This I think was from my mum. And this is about our main character who wins the lottery but leaves her lottery ticket in this guy's donut shop, and so they end up sharing the winnings and go into this publicised romance, which, you know, I'm here for it. Then I got, okay, let me just get there. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com by Kimberly Lemming. This was gifted to me by Emma, and this is Kimberly Lemming's most recent book, I believe. It's not inside the Mead Mishaps books. It is just a totally separate entity, and it is just as mental. As you can imagine, she literally gets abducted by aliens and ends up on a different planet where she ends up kind of accidentally mating with two aliens who are also not from that planet. It's a whole thing. There's a pink T-Rex. The lion can talk. It's amazing. It's amazing. Next is Queer as Folklore by Sasha Coward, and this is from Jem. Jem got me this for my birthday. This is a non-fiction about queerness in folklore. This was one of the nominations for the... Why can I never remember this? I always want to say Poirot, and it's not right. That is definitely not right. There was a... That's terrible. There was a prize, an LGBTQ plus prize, book prize, that got cancelled this year. His name I can never remember. Like I say, I keep wanting to say Poirot because it begins with a P and I can never remember. If I do remember, I'll put it up there. And John Boyne was one of the authors who was put up for this prize. John Boyne is a gay man who is a self-proclaimed TERF. And so Sasha Coward, also listed for this prize, stepped back and said, I will not be associated with this. I am not taking part in this. And a bunch of other authors did. Judges recused themselves. It was a whole mess, to the point where the entire thing got cancelled because there was not enough authors left to run an actual prize. And at no point did John Boyne step back. No, he just said, oh, I hope we can all understand. Like, he was like, I understand if I don't get through to the shortlist, but like, can we all not just live together? Self-proclaimed TERF wrote a article about how the witch hunt of his good friend J.K. Rowling. On top of the whole Boy in the Striped Pyjamas controversy with the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum, which you can Google, John Boyne can go sit on a cactus. Yeah, can go sit on a cactus as far as I'm concerned. So of course I wanted to support. This was the first author who recused themselves from the prize, and so I wanted to show support for the author. So I put this on my wish list and was kindly bought it for my birthday. And also, queerness in folklore. I was going to get it anyway. I also got Shoot Your Shot by Lexi LaFleur Brown, and this was gifted to me by Meg. Shoot Your Shot is a hockey romance about our... I was going to say Lexi. Our name is not Lexi, our name is Lucy. Lexi is the author. Lucy is a up-and-coming, or not up-and-coming, what's the word when you want to do something but you don't do it yet? Like, she works in a tattoo shop and she wants to get an apprenticeship, but currently she's just the scut. She works at reception, she gets people coffee, like all that sort of stuff, but she's not allowed to tattoo yet. And she ends up having this one night with JJ, who is a hockey player, Jaden, and Jalen. I'm in a D where there's an L. And Jalen has just been not renewed a contract for his team. He ends up having a one night stand with Lucy, and the next day he's called by his agent to say, actually one of the guys has injured himself and they want to sign you. So he decides that Lucy must be a good luck charm for him. And so he asks her to be his good luck charm, basically, to wish him good luck before every game so that he has a good game. Hockey players are hella suspicious. Superstitious, even. Hella superstitious. And goalies are just on another level. So eventually she ends up agreeing to this, begrudgingly, because she's a hot mess right now. She goes through dating people like nothing you would believe and is just in a spot where she's just not doing great. But these two end up spending more and more time together. She gets commissioned to paint a mural at the ice hockey rink, so she has to see him every day. And they spend so much time together that they actually start to grow on each other, which is really funny. Like, JJ is just such a ray of sunshine. He is so kind-hearted and lovely and just pure and innocent sometimes. And Lucy is so cynical and just like, yeah, I loved it. I loved all the hockey stuff in this as well because Lexi Lafleur-Brown is not only a hockey goalie, she plays like beer league hockey rather than like NHL, but her husband is, I can't remember his first name or his initials, but her husband is or was an NHL player. He is now a colour commentator for the Seattle Kraken. So Lexi knows what she's talking about, but she's not just a hockey player and a wag. She also has her PhD in education, that she did because she got bored. She got a PhD because she got bored. Lexi Lafleur-Brown has some brain on her, I tell you, and she's so funny. She is so funny. Also, an Indigenous author, which I didn't know. You really wouldn't, honestly. I think someone said in the comment, it's the blonde hair, but she is in fact an Indigenous author. She is a member of one of the First Nations in Canada. She's Canadian. So again, love to support Indigenous authors. Also, just totally forgot, before we move on to September, I also bought myself The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. Again, this is a book that's been staring at me, and eventually I just gave up and bought it. There's damage on this book, and I've just noticed. It's fine. It is fine. It's just only, like, I don't know if you can see that, but some of the letters have come off. The shiny bits have come off. Yeah, this is a... I don't really know much about this book because I read the synopsis and was like, I'm not going to read that, and just forgot about it. But it's been sitting in the back of my mind, and I think this is the most like The Midnight Library of all of Matt Haig's books. The Midnight Library and How to Stop Time, looking at the title, are my two favourite Matt Haig books, and this is supposed to be more like them than the rest of them, so I thought I'd give it a go and pick it up. And yeah, basically our main character, who is older, she's a retired teacher, she's left a house in Ibiza by a friend who dies, and she has no intention of keeping this house, but she decides to go there and just like, fuck it, like, we'll go to Ibiza, we'll see the house, we'll have an adventure because she's stuck in a rut. And it's basically about her finding a new lease on life, which again, The Midnight Library and How to Stop Time are my two favourite Matt Haig books. I'm hoping this will also be a win. Okay, we are on to the month of September. And in September, I bought 15 books. I'm going to try and not be as shy, because this has been a while. I've been filming for ages. So the first is Picture Perfect by Tessa Bailey. I did not know I was getting this beautiful edition. So Picture Perfect is the fourth book in the series. The first one is Fangirl Down. And this starts with a scenario that we see in Dream Girl Drama, when they go and play baseball, as you can imagine. And this follows the sister of one of the baseball players and one of the hockey players. Again, names me. Who? Robbie is the hockey player, and Skylar is she is a softball player, but the sister of the baseball player, in regards to like previous stories. And he basically falls head over heels for her the minute he sees her. Like, boom, love at first sight. He knows she is the one. But she overheard him talking like an ass. So she has no interest at all in this guy. But he wants to prove to her that he's not, like, he was just talking it up. He didn't mean what he said, even though he kind of did mean what he said, but now he realises he's a dumbass. And so he tries to win her over. They place a bet on this baseball game. He wins. He gets to go for a date with her. And during that date, he agrees to go to her family home to take part in these weird Olympic games that her family do. Remember, the brother is the baseball player. Because she is totally in love with her brother's best friend, but he doesn't really notice her. So they think that if she is with Robbie, that the other guy will get jealous. So he agrees to do this, even though he's like, I'm going to persuade her that I'm actually the one she wants to be with. The entire time. Like, he's like, if he does end up, like, wanting her, like, he's going to be happy for her because she's happy. But he's really hoping that she'll fall for him. And so he goes with her and they go through these mental games. Like, all of her family play sports of some kind, so they're all really hyper competitive. And it's just, yeah, so good. Next, I got both editions of Wildcard by Elsie Silver. I have 2 of each. Each of these series. So Wildcard is the last book in the Rose Hill series. So this is set in the town of Rose Hill, and this follows Bash and Gwen. Bash we were introduced to in previous books. He is one of the single dads, and Gwen is his son's ex-girlfriend. Yeah, awkward. The thing is, Gwen is like 27 when this book starts, and Bash is 39. So there is an age gap, but it is not that big an age gap. Necessarily, they are both consenting adults. And his son is like 24. He had a son when he was 15, but he wasn't told about it. He's only been made aware about his son in the past year. And on his way back, he is stuck in the airport because there's so much snow they cannot take off. And who else is stuck in the airport but Gwen? They don't know who each other are. They've never met before. They meet for the first time in this airport and get to know each other and have a moment and decide to swap numbers, but something goes wrong, and when Bash texts her, he never hears back, so he just forgets about it. And a year later, he goes to his son's birthday party, and who's there but Gwen as his girlfriend, the son's girlfriend. They've only been dating for like 2 to 3 months, on and off, occasionally. His son is like this big deal NHL, I'm not entirely sure, NHL player. The son's a douche, I don't care. And Gwen is just like, oh my god. Bash is like, oh my god. And things do not end well. And then a few months later, Gwen, of course, moves to Rose Hill. And things get slightly more awkward because they can't stop thinking about each other. But he is like, I cannot date my son's ex-girlfriend. That is too awkward. That is too weird. My son will hate me. And Gwen is like, well, F you, if I don't mean anything to you. But in like a way that sounds less bitchy. Gwen is taking over the local yoga studio for the owner who is away doing something else. I'm sorry, I keep doing this. And one of the guys from the previous books, not one of the guys from the previous books, but a character we see throughout the books, an older character that's kind of like, not the dad of the group, but they all treat him kind of like a dad or a granddad. He is dying and he needs a new kidney. And so Bash decides that he's going to get tested and gives him one of his kidneys. But that means that he has to come and live with Bash while he's healing because he is frail and he lives in the arsehole of nowhere with no amenities. But what Bash doesn't know is that he has hired Gwen to care for him. So he's like, I will come and stay with you on condition my carer can also come. And he's like, you do what you want. You bring your carer, that's fine. And then Gwen turns up and he's like, what the fuck? And Gwen's like, what the fuck? And they're forced to live together and care for this guy. Yeah, I love this one. This was great. I know Wild Side let a lot of people down. But this one really was a win, and these 2 editions are gorgeous. Talking of gorgeous, The Secret Secrets by Dan Brown. This is the new Langdon book. Robert Langdon is Dan Brown's sort of professor character that's from The Da Vinci Code and Lost Symbol, Inferno Origins, and Angels and Demons is the first one, that's what it is. And Talking of gorgeous, look at this. Look at this. This is a beautiful, beautiful book. It is also signed. Twice technically, and this follows Robert Langdon and Catherine Solomon, who we meet in a previous book, as they're embroiled into shenanigans in Prague. So Langdon is in Prague for a lecture that Catherine is giving, and then the next day he goes for his run. So she's had a bad dream, really awkward, really weird bad dream, about this woman with a like think Statue of Liberty style crown, who smells of death, and it wakes her up and it scares her. And then Langdon goes out for his run and swim the next day because he's a swimmer, and as he's walking back over the bridge in Prague, he sees this woman dressed in black in one of those crowns, and she smells like death as she walks past him, and she totally ignores him. She doesn't act like she can see him at all, and Langdon thinks, oh god, there's something wrong, runs back to the hotel. Catherine is gone. He has no idea where she is, can't get a hold of her. He causes chaos in the hotel, and is subsequently picked up by the Prague Special Police, who think that he is a terrorist, basically, and plan to sort of get him to admit to things through means that are not quite legal. And so he also gets sort of, it becomes a tug of war between this police officer and the CIA and the not the CIA, what are they called? The embassy. Yeah, if you've read Robert Langdon book, you know what it's going to be like. There's intrigue, there are symbols, there are mysteries, it is so much fun. Also, there's also a character in this called the Golem, or that's what he calls himself. And the Golem is, so if you know anything about Prague, Prague has a Jewish quarter, and in history, the Jewish quarter was protected by this creature called the Golem, and the Golem is a clay creature with the Hebrew letter, 3 Hebrew letters that translate to truth on his forehead, and that allows it to move about and protect its people. But it turned on its creator, and so the creator smashed one of the letters out, scratched one of the letters out, which then changed the word to death, and the Golem died. So this character is the Golem incarnate, or at least it thinks it is the Golem incarnate. Very interesting how this worked out. Next is Poems and Art by Len Penny. Len is a local, to me, poet, and she has written poems, which is her first collection, and this is her second collection. Her poems generally tend to be about feminine rage and abuse and the way women are treated by society and by the judicial system and men, and yeah, they're quite hard to read. First collection, very, very hard. Some in this, very, very hard, but this one also has a lighter side. There's a lovely poem that she wrote for her dad, and there's also one about a hedgehog. Honestly, this is amazing. Oh, and did I mention that Lynn Penny writes both in English and in Scots? There's actually a poem in here called Bilingualism, which is written line by line, English, Scots, English, Scots, English, Scots. It's amazing. And then I saw this, which is the Anthology of Scottish Folktales, Volume 2. I had Volume 1, so I was like, I'm just going to get Volume 2, even though I hadn't read Volume 1. But this is not something I'm like, oh, I'll see what it's like, and then I'll see if I want the rest of the volume. No, this is Scottish mythology and folklore. I like collecting things like that, so I don't mind if, like, it's not one of the books that I'm like, I need to read. I will read it. I am currently reading the first one, because it's very spooky season coded. But this is a collection of Scottish folktales as told by a lot of Scottish authors who have helped put together this book. Ones from different areas all over Scotland, usually their local areas, stories that they've been told by their families, that have passed down generations, and it is so interesting so far, the first volume, that is. And then I got myself Apprentice to the Villain. I'm not sure I will keep this edition. I know it's so stupid, but this one is like shiny and the other one is matte. This was in Lidl, in the middle of Lidl, for like a couple pounds, so I ended up getting it. But I didn't realise it was going to be shiny when the other one wasn't. I thought the other one was probably shiny. But yeah, so this continues to follow Evie and the Villain. I'm not finished the first one yet, so. And then tell me I could say no to this. Tell me, Lord, show me how to say no to this. Anyway, yeah, this is The Nightingale by Chris and Hannah. This is a anniversary edition, 10th anniversary edition. This is textured, it is beautiful. The edges, come on, it is absolutely stunning. The cover, the naked cover, gorgeous. This is one of my favourite books of all time. I have now 4 editions of it, and this is just the latest, and honestly, absolutely stunning. The Nightingale by Chris and Hannah, if you don't know, is about 2 sisters who live in France during Nazi occupation. And the eldest sister, has a child, her husband's away to war, and she has a German officer billeting with her, and she does pretty much anything she can to survive and have her child left unharmed, which gets her some judgment and looks from the people in the village. Now her little sister, is a bit more of a rebel and a bit more outspoken, and she is part of the French resistance, and she is helping get troops over the Alps into Spain? Is Switzerland. I can't remember where it is they're going. But helping them get out. So it's people who've escaped from prisoner of war camps, people who've escaped from concentration camps, what they call pilots who've crash landed and have managed to be like what they get them out so they can come back and fight again. Extracted from France to get them back to Britain so that they can fight again. And she's helping these men and families as well, Jewish families who are political enemies, anybody who's in danger from the Nazis, get over the mountains. And yeah, this is heart-wrenching, this is painful and incredible. Next is the newest of the Percy Jackson series, and that is The Court of the Dead. It's actually a Nico D'Angelo book, so it follows Nico and Will, and they go to Camp Jupiter to help Hazel out with the situation she's kind of got herself in, where she gives asylum, I suppose, a refuge to some monsters that you'd expect to see in Tartarus or in Hades, or Tartarus really, because that's where monsters go. This follows on from The Sun and the Star and is partially consequential to that book, so I'm not going to tell you too much. The next one was a surprise. It is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, this beautiful sprayed edge edition. I say a surprise because I've forgotten that, so we did a thing to Vicky where we were going through all of our books and putting tabs in the books, colour tabs, based on who wanted the books once she was done with them, if she was going to unhaul them or just to borrow them at some point. And this had my tab in it and I forgot. We did this ages ago. I totally forgot. So Vicky rocked up with this book and I was like, oops. So we shall see. I did not like, well, The Night Circus was fine, but I didn't really like it that much. But this sounds more up my alley, but I've been on and off about getting it and now I got it for free, so it's fine. Then I got Kilted Lovers by Megan Clausen. Megan Clausen wrote Falling Hard for the Royal Guard, and I absolutely loved it. So when I saw she was doing a Scottish-based one, I decided to get it. She is English, and I think in a better position to write Scots than most people that do tend to write Scots. So hopefully this one will be as good as Falling Hard for the Royal Guard. It is about a lady and a piper. So she is living at Balmoral. Her father has banished her to Balmoral, which is the residence of the King and Queen when they come to Scotland. And Fraser is the piper for Balmoral, so every morning he will pipe to wake everybody up, pipes them into dinner, etc, etc. And she is not meant to be, she's there as a punishment, but really she ends up falling for Fraser and Fraser ends up falling for her, I assume. Next up, I also had to get myself Volumes 2 and Volume 3 in the Murderplot Diary. So this is Rogue Protocol and Exit Strategy and Fugitive Telemetry and System Collapse. That was a mouthful. So these are the other 4 novellas in the series. There's also 2 books. One that's already out, one that's about to come out in 2026. So I still need to get those, but I had borrowed the book from Vicky, so these were the 2 I needed to get to actually read the series. Again, I finished them all, I loved them. Still the same synopsis as the previous Murderbot. Also, in the middle of Little, I picked up Morbidly Yours, which I've been wanting to read. I do actually have it on Kindle, so didn't really need it, but it was a couple of quid. Meh. So this is about Callum, who needs to marry before he can inherit, and Lark, who has just moved to Galway. So he owns his family own a, what's it called? I always say it wrong. Undertaking business. And I'm assuming they get into like a fake relationship. But like a romance set around an undertaker's, a funeral home in Ireland. Sold. And lastly, finally, we're on the last book, is Fireworks by Bonnie Woods. This is the sequel to Kindling by Bonnie Woods, which I got last year, right about this time, probably. Maybe. Possibly. And I assume this follows a firefighter. And I think the sister of the main character, I hope it's the sister of the main character from the last one, because I really need her story. So yeah, I bought this one again, like knowing that I like Kindling, knowing I wanted to read Bonnie Woods again. So yeah, this was a total cover buy, I'm not gonna lie. Cover buy and the fact that I like the author. Anyway, so yeah, those are the books I hauled in Q3. I'm sorry that this video is so long. I'm even more sorry to editing me. If you want to let me know you were here, if you leave me a stack of books emoji, because that is what I'm surrounded by. You should see this. I'm just surrounded by books everywhere. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.